no worries. No worries.
Awesome, awesome. Happy Monday. Here we are at our team huddle, and I could not be more excited that we have Sarah Zolecki on today with us. And before I introduce her, which she really doesn't need any introducing, I just wanted to get into some quick housekeeping. Super Saturday, you guys, it was absolutely fire. Like I already did a reel today, and it was because I got on that training. I'm like, okay, gloves are off. I'm doing a reel every day. So I would highly encourage you to get on that. It was jam-packed, whether you're really focused on building your pod, really focused on building your overall business, you will have several nuggets that will move your business forward this week if you implement them. So I just, listen to it. It's there. It's right in that Facebook group. I'm not going to get into logistics. If you need to be tagged in the group, let us know. The second thing is we had our corporate kickoff meeting. So if you didn't catch that as well, lots of great nuggets too. Really exciting to hear we had our best recruiting month in the last 24 months, the last 2 years. And Sarah, I know you're going to talk about that because I saw your welcome post of all your new team members, and it was like, I had to keep scrolling and scrolling for all the people you're welcoming. So there's a lot of bonus money on the table for all of us. Make sure we take advantage of that. There's some extra bonus money till the end of the month. What's working really well for so many of us is leaning into that 2-minute video. But even more so, what we've had a lot of success on, I think we had like 5 guests on the last Thursday night Zoom with Tony, and people loved it. So we'll talk a little bit about building that. And then the third thing I wanted to just say thank you so much to all of you. Our walking challenge has blown up in our Optimal Wellness page. So keep posting in there, keep adding your people there, keep going on social media. That's how you can like grow your audience, right? Sometimes people are like, I need more people to talk to. Talk to them about a walking challenge. It's a very easy ask. And we gave away some prizes this week. I still need some product spotlights this week. So if you have a story around magnesium, BioCell, Revitalize, Go, just, get in there and do something in the page. Or if you need some ideas, just get with your upline support person and we'll help you post that. But the stories is really what's going to get people excited about learning about these products. All right, so enough about all that logistics. Sarah, we are so excited for you to be here. I mean, I could go on and on about an introduction and share all your fancy titles and all that stuff, but and again, they're important. I mean, you're an elite Black 3. It's like the highest rank in the company. Sarah's team is the #1 team in our company, but more than that, she's one of the top leaders in our overall industry. I first met Sarah, I think I first met you. You didn't meet me, but I met you like 10 years ago when you were on stage at the Most Powerful Women in Network Marketing.
Oh,
And what I
wow.
loved most about you, Sarah, and it holds true, like now that I know you, like you're so relatable and you're so accessible. And it's like the girl next door. It's like I'm just like chatting with a friend. And how you wrapped your arms around our team, like thank you just isn't enough. I just feel like we've been so well supported by you. I know that, your check-ins with me do not go lightly. It's kept me playing at a higher level. Cause I'm like, you know, and that's what we'll talk about is that community, right? And being around people is so important. So, I know what I wanted to just do for the team instead of you coming in and sort of, which would be so powerful, but we did that. We had that on the Super Saturday. I really wanted the team to have access to you and be like, they were sitting down with you with a one-on-one, what was the burning question that they would ask you? So we've compiled a whole bunch of questions and I'm just going to let you take it away from here. But what I'd love you to start off with, and I didn't put this as a question, but what I'd love for you to start off with is like, what keeps you so, and I'm sure you have, I'm sure you have your days, right? But like, what keeps you so high vibe in the game? What are you most excited about right now?
Well, first of all, hi everybody. It's great to see you guys. Thanks for hanging out with me on a Monday. You guys are my first Zoom, so this is awesome. I'm just super excited to spend some time with you guys. And Kim, thanks for having me on. I feel that it's so funny that you asked that question because, I think even for myself as a top leader, like I still have to check myself. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, there's days that I'm kind of like, so what's my purpose again? Like, why am I doing this? Like 30 years of pushing product, that's a long time. You know what I mean, guys? Like, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I feel like sometimes, it's easy for us to fall into like the trap of I don't know if you guys ever seen the movie Groundhog Day with Bill Murray, but like it's like 6 a.m. Here we go. It's like the old Dunkin' Donuts commercial, right? I mean, it's just like over and over and over again. So it's definitely easy to fall into that. And it's, like how do you keep yourself continuously fired up? Um, I think for me, because there are times, guys, that I go through seasons in my business where maybe I'm down in the dumps, or maybe I'm kind of like, wishing my results were different, because I go through seasons too, that sometimes it's great, sometimes it's not great. But I think one of the things that I feel that's important is I don't know if I heard it on a podcast or saw somebody share from a stage, but they just said, if you're in a place that you're having a hard day, like go find a way to go serve. And so I do that outside of network marketing, outside of Modair, like it has nothing to do with anything except I just find a way to go contribute. So whether it's something at my church, I'll make a call and say, "Hey, can I come do something?" Whether it's at a women's shelter that's like 5 minutes away from my house, and I go help fold blankets and get supplies and whatever. If it's something where if my kids and I are having a bad day, we go to feed my starving children and I drag them with me and I'm like, you're going to go serve. You know what I mean? So it's like, I think for me, like I find ways that I can continuously contribute because it just kind of helps me align some of my stuff in my head. Because I think sometimes it's easy for us to go into that pity party, no matter how strong we are, no matter how many books we've read, no matter how many, you know what I mean? John Maxwell books we read, like we still go through it. And so it's like, okay, so how can I put myself in check? And so I go be present somewhere and it's like a big reality check for me. Like it really is, where it's like, oh, okay, like you can do this, Sarah. Like look at where these guys are at. Like you have a pretty good life, like enough. So that is something that I do. I'll do it once a month. You know what I mean? Like I'm not afraid to tell you guys that I don't like have to put myself in check. I do. I'm a human just like you guys. But it just fills me up. I'm like, man, if I can go fill somebody else up, I'm automatically filled up. So I do a lot of that all over where I live. I really try to do that. It keeps me grounded. Because I think sometimes too, it's easy to kind of get trapped in this little like I know, especially for me, because I'm full time, it's easy for me to get trapped in this like network marketing bubble. And so it's just a good reality check for me to kind of step out sometimes and be like, oh yeah, okay, there is stuff outside of this, right? So I think that's something that I really do. But I also work on changing my state, right? For those of you guys that ever follow Tony Robbins, he's a big thing about like, emotions come and go, and he's like the fastest way to change it is to change your state, right? And so I'll give you guys an example. This is kind of pretty private. So my daughter Ava, like she has ever since I think a lot of you guys know Tony's sister Andrea passed away, right? She was a D3 with Modair. She was amazing, super active, passed away of a heart attack like out of the blue, right? And my daughter, unfortunately, experienced a lot of that stuff because it was like 7 a.m. phone call. It was on speakerphone. It was with her son, who was there with her when it happened. Like, and it was all like real time. My kids were live. Like we were in the living room getting ready for school, right? It was just like obviously super traumatic. And so because of that, she has been going through anxiety for 2 years. Every day I've been dealing with it on top of building a Modair business and trying to be a good wife, right? So the reason that I share this is because one of the things that I really taught her was how to change your state. Because the minute you change your state, it immediately changes your thoughts, how you're acting, how you're feeling, how everything, right? And so, it's been awesome to see just how far she's progressed and kind of worked through this just a lot of unknowns for her, right, with being so little. She was 8 years old, right? So it's been so cool to take some of those things that I've learned from Tony Robbins on changing your state. And if you guys haven't had a chance to see that or ever hear him talk about it, just go to YouTube and Google Tony Robbins change your state, and he has an awesome like 8-9 minute video that talks on it, and it's so solid, it's so good. And so I try to do that too. So if I'm feeling frustrated because I got a bunch of no's, or if I'm feeling like I'm in a desert with recruiting, or if I feeling anxious or whatever it may be, right? All our different emotions. I'll do my best to change my state. I'll go on a walk. I just get outside. I put my phone down, or I go have lunch, or I go jump on my mini rebounder, or I just do something, right? I'll do 10 jumping jacks. You know what I mean? Like I'll just do something to try to do my best to change that state. I think that's an important thing that helps me keep my vibe going. You know what I mean? Like I changed my state before I got on here just to kind of get things going. I do it before my team huddle. I do it before I get on stage. I do it, I mean, in all these different ways that I can to keep my energy high. And I understand, like a lot of you guys, you're probably thinking in your head, well, I don't have that kind of energy like Sarah. I don't want you guys to have the kind of energy like I do. I want you to have that kind of energy that you have. You know what I mean? Like if I ask all of you guys what's your highest, kind of vibe feeling, like that's what works for you, right? And so like my husband, he has extremely high vibe, as you guys can tell. It's how he is. Like it's way higher than mine. And that's okay. Right. It's just kind of how God made him, and that's the way it works. But I think another thing too that I wrote down that I do to keep me continuously, I do work on myself, guys, every day. I know we've heard about that a ton. But I think, podcasts and those type of things are I always seem to listen to a podcast right when I need it. Anybody else? You guys listen to a podcast and you're like, wow, sure needed that today. That was weird how that happened, right? Or you read a book and you read just like one paragraph and it just hits you and you're like, wow, that's so weird that I'm reading this right now when I needed it, right? And you bought the book like a year ago or something, right? And you finally cracked it open. That's how it happens. You know what I mean? That's how it happens. And so I think those are some of the things that, I really focus on. And I think too, guys, it's such a good reminder. Some of you guys have heard me share this before, is that, your whole everything that you do in your business and everything that happens in your business is part of creating your story. And so I just have really learned how to flip it over all these years, where it's like when something doesn't go my way, or my business doesn't grow as fast, or my best friend starts and then she decides, oh, this isn't for me, and wants to return her product. You know what I'm saying? Like just stuff, right? When that happens, I was so easily triggered in the past. And then I would start to reevaluate, and I'm like, oh my gosh, maybe this is going to be a lot harder than I thought, or I don't know if I can do this, or I can't have the success that Kim has, just, a lot of those thoughts that we all experience. I just really learned how to just flip it, where I'm like, you know what? That's part of my story. So when things go down, like, for those of you that have been around the last couple of years, like all the wild and crazy things that have happened, like, the reason that Tony and I, we haven't really flinched on a lot of it is we just know that it's going to be part of such a big story for us. And so when it happens, I've learned to tell my brain now, oh, wow, that's going to be a great chapter in the story. Like that's how I flip it. And I've had to learn how to do that. Otherwise, it's so easy to get distracted, to get discouraged, to get bummed out, to get, whatever, none of that good positive stuff, right? And so for me, I just am like, oh, that's going to be a great part of the story. And so all of these things that have happened in my life, and think about all the things that have happened for you in your business, it just makes you more relatable. Like it was so kind of Kim to give me that compliment about being relatable. But the reason I feel like I'm relatable is I just have gone through so much stuff in this business. I didn't skyrocket to the top right away. I didn't have that story that everyone's like ooh and on over. I wasn't a Michelle Churchill. Do you know what I'm saying? And I admire her. I am like, it's incredible with what she's done, but that was not my story. And so now I've learned to like love all of these pieces of my story, because probably every single one of you can relate to something that I share because I've gone through it. So be encouraged as you go through all these little things, because it's going to make you so much more relatable long term in your career here in the business than just like one story that you just skyrocket that nobody can relate to. They just can't, right? So I know that that's kind of a long answer to all of that, but I think that that's really an important piece, because that is going to happen in our business forever. Forever, it's going to happen. And how we learn to kind of work through those times is just super important.
I was just typing in the chat, Sarah, and so I'll just say it out loud. This was all like for me, this was all like wrote down 5 bullet points, and it's all like building up our belief in self. And if we don't have belief in
Mhm.
self, it really, the other pieces don't matter. Like we could love the
Mhm.
product and we could love the company, but if we don't have belief in self, how are we going to get out there and serve when it comes to sharing our products and opportunity, what they can do for people's health? So I loved all
Mhm.
these. I'm glad I asked that to kick us off, because now we're going to
Yeah, I'm
get
glad
into
you
the
asked
nuts
too. I think it's super important.
for sure. So let's just get into the nuts and bolts. I think the first
Okay.
three are around pod building, so I'm just gonna
Okay.
leave it to you.
All right, awesome. All right, so if I look to my left or to your guys' right, it's because I'm looking at my notes. Okay. All right, so pod building. Okay, so listen, I'm a P3. I am not a prolific pod builder. I'm just going to be straight with you. Do I get customers every month? Yes. Do I have great retention? Yes. But I'm not, someone that has these big, huge, crazy like project broadcast campaigns and contests and all that stuff. Okay. But do I have project broadcasts? Yes, for sure. I do. Okay. But so let's talk about a couple things. So the question was on here was for those of you or for those people that are on my team that are crushing the promoter side, what do I notice that is kind of the common thread, right, between driving their success? It's for sure being consistent, guys. They're on their stories a lot, they're sharing. They're not just like throwing up, some story flows, but they're going live in their stories and showing a product, talking about a product, what's awesome, why they love it, what it's done for them, and they just do it on repeat. I mean, some of the girls, I see them talk about the same thing every day. It's just a different story, same product. It's crazy. I have some of my Latino guys. They're so awesome. Majority of them, all they do is they do TikTok. God bless them. I have a TikTok account. I've never ever done anything on there ever, but that's their jam. I mean, they get on there and they go live for 2 hours. Crazy to me. I could never ever do that. But they go live for 20 minutes. They say their little deal and then they start over again because they're like, and I go, why do you start over? They're like, well, there's new people that have gotten on and old people that have gotten off. And they literally repeat that 5 times on there and they just go live and they talk about coffee and creamer and that's their thing. And I'm like, that is wild. But the thing that I love about them is they found out what their sweet spot is. That's their jam. If you would tell them that they need to be talking about the collagen, that's probably not their thing. You know what I mean? They'd be like, but coffee and creamer, they love it. They talk about it. It's so wild. Like I never in a million years would think like that's, if you said, hey, what do you think Latinos like? No one would say coffee and creamer. No one would say that. But that is what they love to do. And they have like they have platinum black 2 and platinum black 3 pods, guys. Like it's wild. I mean, that's a lot of coffee and creamer, right? So I think you got to figure out kind of what your sweet spot is because you don't want to try to do everything with that. I see majority of our big pod builders, they kind of have their lane and that's like what they jam on, right? Whether it's like all collagen or all body transformation or 5-day drop, you know what I mean? Like they kind of have their thing that they really, or inside out system. I have a lot that do that. Um, so they kind of find their, what their wheelhouse is, so to speak, right? And they really kind of stay in that lane and they don't look left or right. They just kind of really keep their blinders on. I think that's their big thing. Um, let's talk a little bit about someone asked kind of like what do we do when it comes to customers when I know a lot of you guys have got like project broadcast, but it's like campaigns, like how do we use project broadcast for contests and campaigns? That I don't really know, but I will tell you, Kim, you should reach out to Jen Piper because I guarantee you she would come on here all day long and she could talk about that, and that's her jam, which is great, right? But I will tell you, one of the things, guys, that we do teach is we teach people what to do with customers, their first 28 days in the business. So I think one thing that would be great, and maybe you guys already have it, is to figure out maybe something that you guys can put together as a team on what you guys do with your customers the first day they sign up as a customer, then their 7th day, then their 14th, then their 21st, and then their 28th. Okay. Because typically, like if you do a good job of taking care of them, like throughout their first 30 days, they're more apt to like number one, reorder, but number two, like you got a sticky customer. You know what I mean? You got someone that's going to hang out, right? So, so for me, I think it's important that follow-up piece because how many of you guys have had people that have like ordered and then you've never really heard from them again, or they never really reordered again? And a lot of times it's because we didn't follow up with them to find out how are they actually taking the product. Sometimes people like aren't even taking the product right, or maybe they bought burn and they took it on an empty stomach and they got a really bad tummy ache. And you're like, oh my gosh, like you got to be able to kind of course correct some of these guys, right? And put them on the path to create a great success story. So, my first week, I'm always checking in with them, right? Making sure, like, hey, call me as soon as you get your box. You know what I mean? And I'll walk you through the product, right away. That's a 5-minute phone call that you can do with them to walk them through that, right? 14 days in, find out how are they liking the product. What was it like? What are they loving so far? Are there any challenges they're having? Right? Because they need to maybe, sometimes there's, challenges with the way people take the product, or they're not getting results. You can give them some tips or whatever it may be, right? But then typically by the 28th or the 21st and the 28th, by the 21st, I typically ask someone for their product story because a lot of times they've got some type of product story. Higher energy, maybe they've lost a few pounds, maybe they're loving how they're sleeping, maybe they're whatever it is, my hair's feeling better, right? I mean, it could be again whatever product they're using, right? I'll get their story. And then it's great because then I can start collecting those stories, right? Those are the stories that, I ask them, would you be willing to write that up for me? Right. And it's something that you guys can throw in your ATM group. It's something that you guys can share somewhere. You can share it in your stories, right? So you can start collecting all these stories of your customers. And then on the 28th, that's typically when you can get them to do a referral post for you, right? So that's typically by then they're ready to go. Where it's like, hey, listen, I know you've had a great, you've got a great story. I'm excited for you because you're loving the product. Would you be willing to do a referral post for me? Right. And typically they're open to that. Cause I'm like, hey, listen, you don't have to do anything. I'm going to give you exactly what to post. You post it, tag me in it. Anyone that responds, right? I'll make sure I help, answer questions, get them connected to, and go from there, right? And then you can get some free shopping credits, etc., whatever. So typically by then, because I think the mistake that people make is right away, like even like when they get someone signed up, I don't even tell them about their own customer code yet. It's so confusing. It's kind of like if you went to Kohl's online and you bought at Kohl's and Kohl's was like, oh, by the way, here's your code to go share. And you're like, I just ordered these tennis shoes. This is weird, right? Like it's the same thing. Like I see people make that mistake of like slamming the code down your customer's throat right away. It's just awkward. I'm like, let them get a good experience first, right? So even like I typically won't tell them how to even share their code until like the second or third week. I just don't even go there with them because I just want them loving the product and just, kind of just getting acclimated with everything. I see people ask people to do the referral post way too early, like way too early. And again, it's just like if I think about if I was a customer and I was buying anywhere, like what would I want that process to look like? Right. And so that's why I like to wait a little bit. I feel like by the end of the month, like if you've done a really good job of taking care of them and nurturing them and helping them create that story, like they're going to give you a referral post by the end of that month. So, Kim, I don't know, maybe even just kind of drawing that out and helping the girls just kind of follow along on that path. Like I just think you guys can, number one, you'll get a ton of great stories that you can have and use everywhere. But then also too, all of you guys, you'll all have referral posts, which will turn into more customers, right, as well for you. So those are kind of the things that we do with that, right? So really, leverage kind of growing the customer base and keeping that stickiness, right, of keeping these customers around and reordering, month after month after month. All right. So any tips on organization and being efficient? I have like a little egg timer that I do to be efficient. So like I bought like a really cute like red one. It's like super old school that your grandma used to have like on her stove, right? Like I bought one of those. I love it. And so I'll set for whatever activity I'm going to do for my business. I set a timer, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever that is. I think the mistake that I see people make is they set, they're like, I'm going to work my business for 1 hour. And it's just hard. I mean, especially if you have little kids at home, like I would love to say that's awesome. That's just so not realistic. I mean, when I started Mode Air, my son was 2 years old and I was pregnant with my daughter. Like those first, 5, 6 years were wild and crazy. And so, I mean, I was lucky if I got 15-minute increments. You guys know how it is before somebody melts down, something goes bonkers, whatever. So I think so I would just figure out for you what are the time blocks that you know that you could actually really hit and you could be excited about. Because if you set your time blocks for 30 minutes or an hour, and even if you don't have kids, maybe you still can't do that. You know what I mean? Like you can't go that long, set stuff up that's going to set you up to win that you're going to feel good about. Don't set yourself up if you're going to say, I'm going to do an hour and then you don't do it. And then you feel like a loser. You know what I mean? Like, don't do that. Like, set up for like 15 and you go, yeah.
Did we lose Sarah? All right, hold please. Hopefully she'll be right back on. I was like, let me text her. Wonder if she lost connection. I know, Sarah, come back. And we do, so we do have that. I'll go look at it and see if it needs any updating, but we do have a 4-part customer care follow-up. And what I would suggest that you do is take that because it's good. It's good customer care doesn't change. And if you're sharing a specific product set like Inside Out Collection or BioCell or Body Transformation, you can take the 4-part series and put it in your chat GPT and say, can you change this to more my voice and that I'm, sharing whatever. She's coming back, her computer died. Um, any aha moments, put it in the chat. Oh, there she's back already. Okay. It's in the, Chris, it's in our Team Rise Facebook page and it's under customer care.
All right. All right, guys, I'm
She's
back.
back. She's back. Everyone's like, where'd she
Hey,
go?
it's a Monday. I mean, how can your computer not die of a battery already? I don't know if that's good or bad or what. I'm like, my husband's like, oh, you're done. I said, no, I'm running to find my cord. Where's my cord? Oh, anyways, here we go. So what were we talking about? So the time blocking thing, just do stuff that's actually going to make you feel good, not feel bad. Right? You know what I mean? You got to figure out what works for you. Like for me, I do a lot of 15-minute time blocks. It's kind of my jam. If I feel like I'm, feeling great and I'm like feeling like I'm moving, I'll keep going then, but I think it just depends on the day and how that is. So, again, I'd rather do like a bunch of 15-minute blocks and you nail it and you feel super good and confident, you feel like a rock star, than setting up these 1 hour ones and then you're just like, maybe you're not as focused or things are going down or whatever. And then you just feel yucky afterwards, right? That's just not a way you just want to do that. So organization for me, I have actually something that I've used forever and ever, guys. It's by Adams. It's just ADAMS. It's a activity log book. It's like for like anybody in sales. I've used it forever. It's a spiral bound like thing. I think it's like $10 on Amazon. But I do it for like all my prospecting. I actually have two. I have one for prospects. I wrote on the top prospects in Sharpie, and then the other one I have for like potential customers or customers. And so then allows me, I know exactly where they're at, and it's easy because I can throw them like in my backpack or in my wherever. Like if you give me Excel spreadsheet, I like panic. You know what I mean? Like even notes and I saw like the thing, I was like, oh God, please don't let this be hard because I never print anything right and it comes up all messed up. Anybody else like that? I'm like, never comes out the right way I print it. So thank you, Kim, for making it easy for me. But yeah, so I think again, and I heard Kim talk about this actually on my team huddle. It's like the best thing is the one that you're actually going to really use, right? So, you got to figure out. I've bought a lot of planners. I've thrown away a lot of planners. I still, I'm one of that. I'm still, guys. I'm one of those girls that like I go to Office Max or Office Depot and I buy like those big desk calendars and I have it sitting on my desk. And it's like I have each day and I have everything written into it. I don't know. I like that feeling of being able to write. I don't know. I think it helps me remember more. And, I feel visually like I can see everything that way too. But again, you got to do what works for you. Like we found kind of what works for us. Um, Me and also Tony together, which sometimes can be a challenge, but we're both kind of wired the same way that way, which is great. So those are some of the things that that I'll do um, for like staying organized with things. And then obviously I have things in my phone and notes and all that stuff. But for the most part, I use my activity logbook, and then I also use my desktop calendar thing to keep me organized. Okay, so what are new social marketers in my team doing for a launch? What social media posts are they using? Sending a launch email. What are we teaching? Okay. So we do have like a boards that we use for our team. Kim is more than welcome to share it with you guys if you guys want to use it. It's pretty generic. We do our best to keep it generic because we have a lot of people plugging in. We know that just people are looking for different resources. You guys are also more than welcome to take it and take the system of it and make one of your own. We don't care. We really don't care. Just take it and would do whatever you want with it. But basically, we teach people like how to build it. It's something that someone can do in less than an hour, and it's 5 steps, right? So we kind of have like the simple things in there with downloading your apps, kind of you know putting together your list, like just that kind of stuff. Like I have a little video in there that shows you like how to do a three-way chat. We've got some little tutorials in there on some other things on how to do things. We also give them 30 days of posts, what each post is, what it represents, why do you do it, what do you do with it, what do you say to someone when they respond in the comments, what do you say to them in direct messenger. So that it's pretty detailed, that piece is. But I will tell you, I don't know if you guys signed up for Modere.ai, but that's one of the things we're looking at trying to implement in there as well, is taking they actually have a really cool program that you could actually upload a post that someone did and say, "Hey, make it my own," and it will create an original for you guys, which is really cool. So we're actually looking at taking like those first 30 days and putting it into the Now site. And so any person that goes in there and they start on day one, it will take that post, but it will make it their own. And so it will launch for 30 days, which is really cool. So they're looking at building that out too pretty quick. So there's a lot of moving parts with that Modere.ai as well, which they're just
Thank you.
gonna keep enhancing it and adding into it for all of us also, which is great. Um, I do one thing that I do like to do though is I do like to do like a launch Zoom with brand new people, because I do feel that it's important to like for personals, like when I personally bring someone in, or if I have someone that's newer that brings someone in, I'll do a Zoom with them, and it's typically just like a 20-minute Zoom. Where I make sure that they've gone through the launch, right? But then I also help them kind of set some goals because sometimes you know, they don't really know what things look like, right? Because they might say, "Oh, well, I want to make, $3,000 this month." And I'm like, "Okay, great." I'm like, "How many hours do you think you could really be able to work, spend time doing the business?" And they're like, "Oh, 2 hours a week." Well, guys, we all know 2 hours a week and $3,000 in a month really doesn't go together, right? So then I'm really careful on helping people manage their expectations in the beginning because I want them to have a great experience, right? You don't want them to come after their first month and then they're bummed out and they're just like, "This sucks, blah, blah, blah." Because in their mind, what they were thinking is different than what is really realistic, right? So again, in my mind, I'm thinking as a sponsor, right, or upline, whatever, my job is not to make someone become successful, but it is my job to make sure they get started right. Right? Okay. And so some of you guys, so it's the opposite. You think and you feel bad when someone in your team or someone you brought in doesn't have success. That's not your job to make them successful. They got to do the work, but it is your job to make sure you get them started right. If you get them started right, and then you're like, hey, they got to do the work, right? It's on them. Because for a long time, I was the opposite. I would beat myself up all the time. Why isn't someone having success? Or, oh my God, Joe's not doing that great, or blah, blah, blah. And I had to realize, like, Sarah, like, this is their business. Like, they got to do the work. Like, did you set them up right? Yes. Okay. Well, then it's on them at that point. Right. So, just making sure that they get, set up, making sure they're what their goal is, how much they want to make along with the hours, like that matches up. But then I think too, also asking them, this is a really important thing, guys, is that letting them know they're going to have good days and bad days, and they're going to have great months and bad months, and they're going to have incredible years and then years that aren't isn't that great. But how do you want me to handle it when things aren't going that great? How do you want me to handle you when you want to throw the towel in? When you want to quit, how do you want me to handle you? Right? Because unfortunately, what a lot of people do is they assume how someone is motivated is the same way that they're motivated, which is not true. How Kim is motivated, I guarantee you that I'm not motivated the same way. Versus Lawrence are probably not motivated how I'm motivated, right? So instead of just assuming, I always ask people, how do you want me to best work with you when you're pissed off? Like, what do you want me to do? What do I need to do to remind you that this was a great decision? And I let them tell me then, right? Because then I know how to work with them, right? I know how to work with them. And so then when things happen, I whisper to them and I'm like, hey, Rebecca, remember when we had that conversation, right? Remember? Okay, so this is my I'm whispering in your ear now. I'm reminding you, right? So it's good because then we have a good communication, right? And what happens is that when you do the Zoom with them, it takes them from a recruit into a business relationship with you. Totally different. Recruit to a business relationship, right? When you do that Zoom. And that Zoom can again just be 20 minutes, right? But again, just that little personal touch, making sure, you're not just shooting them over to a system, right? You wrap your arms around them a little bit and remind them why they, said yes, and that how it was the best decision they ever made and how they're on a winning team, right? And all that good stuff. That part of the launch I think is super important. And I think that's probably my secret sauce. You know what I mean? I think I have a couple secret sauces, but that's one of them. I would say that to keep people around, they've been around, 8, 9, 10, 11 years with me right here at Modair is because I took that time out to really spend time to get to know them and have helped. I learned how to work with them because I asked them how do they want to be treated and what do they need, what motivates them, right? And I feel like I've done a good job of taking care of those guys because I asked. I didn't assume I asked them, right? Anybody have any questions on that before I keep going? I know we got a bunch more stuff, but
I'm keeping an eye on the chat, and I think we're good to go. Good to go the next one.
okay, cool. Okay, awesome. Oh, activity notebook. Okay, sweet. Um, Okay, so how many business conversations do I start on a daily basis? Well, I have, because I've been doing this forever, I just have had conversations going, guys, forever at this point. But I would say like 3 to 5, and they're all at different places and they're not all necessarily not the 3 to 5 business ones. It doesn't mean like all of them I've asked them to look at the business yet. I'm like in conversations, getting to know them, finding out how they're doing, what are they doing now, what's happening in their life. You know what I mean? Like all of those different things. I would say I have at least 3 to 5 happening all the time. But I think for me, I really just work on just like building a relationship, I'm a huge believer where I believe that everybody blesses my life and I bless everybody's life. I'm just kind of like Pollyanna that way. I really am. And so I just go into like every relationship just full of so much like expectancy of something awesome. And I don't know what that looks like. It's not necessarily always Modair at the time. But I've had so many great conversations and people that I've met through social media that have given me a tip, or I've seen something, or I loved a content thing they did. And so I took it and repurposed it. Or I don't know. There's just I've gotten just so much great stuff with parenting and stuff with cooking. I'm a terrible cook. Things with like network marketing and things like this, so many different things. And so I just really go into my relationships just like so open minded and just like kind of just like the eyes of a kid. I really do. I just am such a big, even though I know that it's so easy to be skeptical of people nowadays and just so much negativity, I still am just, maybe I'm naive. I just really go into um just my world every day of just so much expectancy of just something good. Something good is going to happen. Whether it's, I get to breathe life into somebody or they're going to breathe life into me. And so I think when you come from that perspective, it's just different than feeling like I need to sell you something or I really need to get a social marketer in my business. I don't really set those, I just don't really ever speak that or think that or anything. And I think that's why it has come a lot easier to me to get customers and new social marketers on board because they feel that way. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, I'm going to be friends with them whether they do the business or not. It doesn't really matter to me. You know what I mean? Like, would I love to have you here? For sure. Is the timing right? I have no idea. And I think that they feel that and they really believe that with me. And so, I don't know. I think just for me, it's just like I really, really focus in on the relationships. And I think all of us, I think it's we're all women on here. Like, that's a huge gift that God gave us is like we're really good at nurturing relationships. And so I think we just need to lean into that. Instead of sometimes I feel like it's so easy to make this business so difficult when it really isn't. It's like we have this natural ability to make friends and to, and I know for some of us, maybe we've been hurt in the past and some of these things. And so we have these walls up. And I would just encourage you, like, you only live once, take the wall down. You know what I mean? Like, you could be dead tomorrow. Like, get out there, be open, be willing to put your heart out there. Like, just be that person that maybe you used to be. And I just think it's so important. Like the last couple of years for me, sure, could I have put up a huge wall and been like, screw everybody? For sure, guys. Like, are you kidding me? Like, for sure. But I just knew, like, I'm like, no, like I need to be more open than I've ever been before. And so, I just a huge, huge believer in just like living full out every day as much as I possibly can. And, you never know who walks into your life and just being aware of those people that, step in front of us every day, and just start that friendship. So for me, I just am like, I just make a friend every day, and I'm just kind of that person that I'm like, I want to be that person that, you know, can outfriend everybody. That's really how I look at it.
Sarah, can I ask an add-on question to that? Because I think
Yeah,
when I was reading through this kind of both is from the same person, and so I just love your approach because your pipeline. It sounds like your pipeline is pretty full, right? So that you're
yeah.
constantly just continuing to nurture those relationships. What advice would you give to someone though that has maybe pressed the restart button or is fairly new, or maybe is just new to team building, and they would love to bring on the three this month, right? To infuse that
Yeah.
energy into their business, to grab some bonus money. Because some of these questions are, from a DMO standpoint, like what advice would you give that person in terms of how do you start the conversations? Where do you find those people? I don't know if you would tweak your answer
I
at
think
all,
a
but
lot, I think a lot of us, I think a lot of us, if we are really like telling ourselves the truth, whether you have 200 Facebook friends, whether you have 500 Facebook friends, majority of us have not had a conversation with every single one of those people. I mean, so like that's something that I'm going back and I'm doing. Like, is it tedious? Yes, it's totally tedious. Do I love it? No, I hate it, guys. Like, I'm like, ugh, this is a part that's like, it's not my jam. Like, it's like, I remember, even like for me, if you're like, if someone said, Sarah, what's one part you don't love about the business? Like, I never loved, like, I launched my business and I had a list and I had to make those connections. It was so painful to me. I would look at that list and I'm like, oh my God, like, it was just so hard. And then I was just like, Sarah, you got to rip the band-aid off. Like your goal is you got to get through all these people so they know what you're doing. And if they love it, great. If they don't, great. But get on the other side of that to find out like who in that list does want to jam with you, does want to do it. Cause that's where really the magic starts, right? And so that's the same thing for us here. Like, I mean, Tony and I, the last 60 days, like we are having massive conversations with people that I've either followed or they followed me or I'm friends with on Facebook, but I never really had a conversation. And I'm just getting in there. And I'm like, if Kim and I were Facebook friends, like my message to Kim is really simple. It's like, hey Kim, you know what? This is a year that I told myself that I'm really going to do a better job of taking Facebook friends and making them real friends. So I'm reaching out to you. How are you? Tell me your story. What's happening in your world? Like, what do you do? You know what I mean? Like, and I'm just coming from a place that I'm just really real because that is what's happening. Most of us, we have Facebook friends that are not real friends. Like we don't really know them, right? Or I'm gonna do a better job, right, of that. So with those people that I know on Facebook, like I'm having those real connections with them, and that's how we just start going back and forth. And a lot of times they're like, oh my God, I love that. Like that's really cool. And I've even had people that have said, oh, you know what, I'm actually trying to make better connections too now, right? And I think guys too, I mean, things have changed, especially on social especially after COVID, because now I think people are like really trying to do a better job of making real connections on social versus it just being social. I mean, that's what it had been, right? For so long, it was so surface. I think now, like people are really generally back into, really building those relationships. So for me, I'm like, hey, I want my friends to be, real friends, not just Facebook friends. So here I am. I'm reaching out. How are you? You know what I mean? What's new? Like, what are you up to? Like I've been busy promoting this really cool brand Modair for a while. I'm loving it. I'm having a blast. My kids are growing. It's great. I'm having fun. Like, what are you doing? And then we just start, right? Nothing real scripty, nothing real, but I do set it off and say, hey, this is why I'm reaching out. And then it's really great because then some of these people, guys, that as you know, a lot of them you don't ever see in your feed or they don't see and you don't see them, right? Vice versa. Like now all of a sudden they're showing up in my feed that never did before. And it's great. And I've got new people. Like you guys want new people in your feed, go find people in your Facebook that you haven't really connected with. And you make a couple of conversation connections, all of a sudden all this new stuff is going to start flowing in your feed, right? Which is great. So I think, Kim, that's something that personally, I mean, I'm doing every day. Like I'm doing today after I get off the Zoom, I have 10 people. That's kind of my thing that I do every day. I do 10 people I connect with that I'm Facebook friends that I want to turn into real friends. And I'm just starting, just like you guys. Yeah, like Rebecca says, some I don't even remember how I know them. And guess what, Rebecca? Tell them that. Tell them that when you talk to them, right? Sarah, I'm reaching out to you because you know what? We're Facebook friends. And you know what's the craziest thing? I don't even know how the heck we even know each other. How do we know each other? How did we meet? You know what I mean? Like what is that? Like I mean that's you just started a conversation just like that. I think a lot of things that we think about, we just need to speak it out loud. Right? We just need to speak those things out loud to start those conversations. Yeah, speaking human. Exactly. Exactly. One of the things somebody wrote is that when I share about the business and stories, what's most effective for us? Yeah, we definitely share team successes. I also do like a live on my story. Like, guys, you should be telling your story. Your story is important. Every single one of you, your story matters, no matter how boring you think your story is. We all think our story is boring, by the way, just so you know. Every single one of us, we think our story is boring. It's like, I don't know why, but we do. Okay. It's not. It's maybe it's boring because it's our story and we've been telling ourselves it forever and we're sick of our story. But guess what? Most everybody else hasn't heard our story, right? So I like to tell my story in lives, or in, whether it's alive or whether it's in a story. I think that that's really powerful. Um, I think those would be I don't necessarily do like a live offer. You can. I mean, I have some people that do that. I think too, you just got to kind of figure out what works for you. I mean, again, our business is network marketing, right? Marketing being the second word, meaning in marketing, they try it. If it doesn't work, they try something else and they market it. Okay. Same thing here. So what might work for you might not work for me, right? So it's a little bit different. Now, obviously, we use the systems, but it doesn't mean we can't be creative in that way, right? So, I have some people that definitely do live offers and that's their thing. Great. I don't necessarily do that. But again, what I do is different than what my husband Tony does, right? It's just kind of how our personalities are and what we love to do. So I think too, you just got to think about what gets you excited, because whatever is going to get you excited to do in the business, that's what you got to do. If you're not excited about it, then don't, like, if you're like, oh, I saw so and so do a live offer, I feel like I should do it. But if you're not excited about it, then don't freaking do it, because then it's going to bomb because you're not fired up to begin with. So again, I love that we kind of have the wiggle worm to kind of, or the like the wiggle space to be creative, right? And I just think, we all have amazing intuition. We just have to stop second guessing it. We just got to roll with it. If you would have asked me, 30 years ago, or even now, like, what's one thing, Sarah, you wish that you would have done differently in your career? I wish I would have started betting on me a lot earlier. I really second guessed myself. I was 21 years old. I had no business being in business. I was a nanny, glorified babysitter. I thought I didn't really bring anything to the table. I just really wish that I would have. I bet on myself. You know what I mean? I really wished I second guessed and self sabotaged myself so much for no reason, really no reason. And I would just encourage you guys, like, women's intuition is, I tell my husband even says this. He's like, women have such an advantage to this business because their intuition is so strong. If you have
Mhm.
intuition and with somebody on social media about reaching out to them, don't hesitate. Like, that's your green light to go. You know what I mean? If you meet somebody and you feel like you need to make a connection, don't hesitate. That's your green light. That's your intuition, just like stronger than strong, right? I mean, I just learned, like, whenever I have intuition now with anything, I act immediately on it. I used to not act. I used to sit and think about it, and then I always had so much regret. I had a lot of regret in my career, just because I'm like, man, why did I let that person walk past me? I didn't say anything. Dang, how come that happened? Dang, And so for me now I'm just like, I'm full bore when it comes to my intuition piece. I'm just like green light, with everything. But I've had to work on that. Now it's second nature, right? I don't really think about it. It just is automatic. But in the beginning, like, I had to push myself to say yes and work through all that. And now, not now it's just kind of who I am.
Oh, Sarah, I think that is like a great place to like wrap all what you just shared up, because it's so true that we have endless possibilities in this business opportunity. And if we would just bet on ourselves and just really get clear for what we want to create for ourselves, for our families. And then I love using that analogy as a buffet table, because it's true. There's so many people having different success doing different things, and we can get caught up being like, oh, I have to go do that now, or I have to go do that now. It's like, no, find out what you love. Yes, there's a lot of different ways, right, that we can get in those conversations and we can build those relationships, but just find out what you love to do and do a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
cannot thank you enough. That so much
Oh,
gold
thank
nuggets in the
you.
chat. And yeah, if you want to just show Sarah some love in the chat, thanking her for her time. This has been an incredible hour. I'm gonna
Yeah,
stop.
thanks everybody. It was awesome.
Yeah, thank